وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. Oh Lord, in this program that we are about to commence, we put everything in your hand. We need your guidance, protection, and blessing. May you be with us as we commence this thing until the end of this program. Amen. Thank you.
Now the last prayer is going to be in Christian. Shall we now have a Christian from Sierra Leone to volunteer and then give us the open
Recording in
prayer?
progress.
Who wants to volunteer to give us a Christian prayer from Sierra Leone? Well, the Spirit is directing me to Mr. Ernest. Ernest?
Okay. All right. We are praying. Everlasting Father, we thank you for life this day. We give you honor for bringing us from our homes, both far and near, to this conference. As we are gathered here, we pray that you lead us in the proceedings for the day, so that at the end of the day we shall achieve our aim and give glory unto your name. This is our prayer through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Mr. Ernest, thank you so much for offering this wonderful prayer. It is my hope that the prayers that we have all given will be answered by Almighty Allah, will be answered by Almighty God. We are now going to begin. I hope you all have the brochure. The program for the day is well presented in the brochure. But before that, let me take this opportunity to welcome all the participants gathered here. We have delegations from Nigeria, both from the government and non-governmental sector. We also have delegation from Sierra Leone. I understand that the government delegation are still on their way to Ghana. We pray for their safe arrival. We have delegations from Burkina Faso. We also have delegations from Ghana here. The delegation from Ghana is composed of the Complementary Education Agency, our education innovators, that is AfriKids, Gilbert, and School for Life. We also have other representing institutions of government and non-governmental organizations present in Ghana here. Let me also welcome our International Steering Committee members. Some of them are online, and one or two are present here. We have Dr. Robert Sauder from the Carleton University, who has traveled all the way to join us, deliberate on this important issue that we are facing with. To our sponsors, let me welcome them. That is the GPE Cakes, Africa 19 Hub. Some of them are present here, and some have joined us online. Please let me remind you that this program is live streamed on Facebook, YouTube, and our Ghanaian media. So the program for this morning, the key goals of this high-level conference or meeting are: one, to plan for action and support for scaling up accelerated education program, or what is known in the Ghanaian context as complementary basic education, to ensure equitable and quality learning for every child. Two, to share existing and tested AEP legislation, policies, strategies, and curriculum from around West Africa. 3, to share best practices regarding mainstreaming and scaling up AEP models in different areas of West Africa. And 4, to enhance the development of a partnership and investment plan for accelerated education in West Africa. So basically, the 2-day high-level conference or meeting aims to achieve these broad goals. I shall now proceed to welcome Gloria Mensah, who's a Deputy Executive Director at the CA. CA stands for Complementary Education Agency. She will welcome the chairperson for this important program. Madam Gloria, you're welcome.
Good morning. I'm honored this morning to talk about our chairperson for this program. He assumed office on 1st November 2018 as the 8th principal of College of Education, Accra. He is the president of the Principals of Colleges of Education. He is a professional teacher and educationist with rich experience in teacher education, especially in the academia, for closely 20 years before assuming his current position. His teaching and research is focused on Ghanaian languages, linguistics, literacy, and culture. He has rich administrative experience in tertiary education setting. He was the former head of Department of Guruni Gonja Languages Education for 4 years, in August 2013 to July 2017, at the University of Education, Winneba. He occasionally acted as the Dean of Faculty for Ghanaian Languages at the same university. He also served as a graduate coordinator for 2 years. He was the local secretary for the University Teachers Association of Ghana for 4 years, and the national secretary for 2 years of the University Teachers Association of Ghana. He was elected as vice president of the same association until he left the university in 2017. His educational qualification holds a PhD in linguistics from the year 2002 and 2004 in the University of Manchester, UK. He has a postgraduate diploma and MPhil in linguistics from the University of Ghana, Legon. He has a Bachelor of Education in Mathematics and Ghanaian Languages, and a diploma in Ghanaian Languages, Guruni, respectively. He has initial training as a professional teacher from Bewa Training College, Pusiga, in 1991, and had his educational secondary level at Bolgatanga Secondary School in 1987. He has an international level accomplished scholarship and received 2 prestigious scholarships award. That is the Commonwealth Academic Scholarship Award from September 2008 to January 13, 2013. He has his PhD at the University of Manchester, UK, and the flagship American scholarship, Fulbright Visiting Research Scholar, from November 2017 to August 2018 at the University of Florida. His interests cuts across various aspects of linguistics, which includes the language use in education, language policy, literacy and development, linguistics, rights of minority or less studied in languages of Ghana and Africa. He is a consultant for education and literacy projects, which was funded by organizations like DFID, World Education, USAID, and the World Bank. He has also served as a reviewer for several journals addressing issues of language or linguistics, both in local and international journals. He is a member of several professional bodies within the domain of linguistics, including Association of Linguistic Typology, Association of Contemporary African Linguistics, International Pragmatic Association, and the Philological Association, and the Linguistics Association of Ghana. He is the executive officer of the Accra College of Education. His personality brings a wealth of experts and experience to the role, driving the institution forward with his academic and administrative acumen. He is participatory, visionary, and a strategic leader. I'm therefore honored to invite Professor Samuel Atintonu as the chair of this conference. Thank you.
So, shall I now proceed to Professor Atintonu to give us his acceptance speech as the chairperson of this program.
I want to say that I'm a teacher and an educationist, so I don't know where the young lady got that long story about me from, but I guess AI can do all kinds of things. Thank you very much. The Deputy Minister is not here, but let me acknowledge him, Deputy Minister for Education. I understand my good friend and brother, Honorable Dr. Tim Fojo, Reverend, is on his way here. Since the program is live, he should be hearing us here. Education ministers and officials from other member countries, the Consortium of Research Firms and Think Tanks, Associate for Change, Center for the Study of Economies of Africa, Nigeria, Daland Development Consultants, Sierra Leone, the CEO of Associate for Change, Dr. Leslie, for reaching out to me to be here. We've been working together for almost close to 2 decades. International partners from Nigeria, Sierra Leone, Burkina Faso, Mali, and rest from partner organizations, CEOs and NGOs working on education for out-of-school children, distinguished invited guests, friends from the media, good morning. Permit me to make a few remarks before my acceptance speech. It is a great pleasure to be part of this international high-level conference on tackling the out-of-school challenge in West Africa, research evidence to drive action and investment. I would like to express my gratitude to the organizers for the opportunity to participate in this event, and particularly requesting me to be the chair this morning. I am also excited that I'm participating in an event that I have devoted a significant part of my professional career as a lecturer and researcher in linguistics and literacy to provide evidence of research findings and policy to contribute to finding alternative pathways of educating out-of-school children in less privileged communities in Ghana. Ladies and gentlemen, Ghana, like many other countries, has subscribed to the Sustainable Development Goals, SDG Goal 4, with the aim to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. Several accelerated approaches have accompanied this global recognition of the importance of securing educational participation for all to make access and retention an achievable and realistic policy objective. Ghana has also invested more than many other sub-Saharan African countries in its educational system, with between 8% to 10% of GDP over the last 10 years and close to 24% of total government expenditure on the sector. Unfortunately, the performance of the sector in terms of quality and learning outcomes has not attained the needed international standards and educational efficiency benchmarks. You can see this in World Bank Report 2018. Sub-Saharan Africa also is reported to have about 30 million school-age children who are not attending school, more than any other region in the world. Due to high birth rates, the number of children under 14 is expected to increase by 112 million between 2010 and 2025. In Ghana, even though recent studies on out-of-school children aged between 6 to 14 suggest that there is a reduction in the number of out-of-school children by 2016 based on a joint report by the Ministry of Education and the Ghana Statistical Service, which is built on earlier studies by UNICEF and UNESCO, 2010 and 2012, there is still a significant number of out-of-school children in Ghana, and particularly in the poorest and marginalized communities. Available data from United Nations Children Fund Multiple Indicator Survey in 2017 puts the figure of out-of-school children at 1,026,000 in Ghana alone, and this is very alarming. Adult non-literacy in the country is also estimated to be around 3.89 million as reported by the 2020 Housing and Population Census. It is important to know that there is a direct link between those who are not attending school as well as non-literacy and their literacy attainment. Although the literacy rate in the country is improving with 57.9% in 2000, and by 2023, it is estimated to be 79.4%, there is still a gap of 21% left to attain the 100% mark. However, with a significant number of out-of-school children and non-literates, there is a need to find other viable options to address the literacy gap. It is in this respect that we call for consensus efforts of governments, development partners, and indeed the international partners here and the consortium who are attending this conference to ensure that we deliberate and discuss various ways that can actually help us to achieve accelerated programs in education for this category of children. This we can achieve by using innovative approaches to deliver education and literacy to many out-of-school children, the youth and adults who have either missed school or desire for lifelong learning opportunities. Over the years, various development partners and CSOs have played a vital role in supporting and continue to support the Ghana government to deliver literacy programs. Some include the World Vision International, Complementary Basic Education, World Education, School for Life, Afrikids, Associate for Change, and many others. To further strengthen their roles, the government of Ghana has provided a legal framework by passing the Complementary Education Act in 2020, Act 1055, which transitioned the formal non-formal education division, MFED, into what we call the CA. It is refreshing to know that the Complementary Education Agency is present here this morning in this conference, and I'm happy to see the director, She's very active and always looking for results. And her presence here, I think your discussions and whatever outcomes we get here will feed into her programs. And I can assure you I have been working with them and will continue to ensure that we find alternative ways in complementary basic education. Ladies and gentlemen, I have no doubt that with the diverse participants from academia, policymakers, researchers, and different countries, the program will be a success. However, all of us must actively participate to achieve the objectives of this conference. On this note, may I now say that I have no objection of accepting to be the chair for today's occasion. I will, however, call for your kind cooperation and support to ensure a successful program. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Titono. Let me now invite Dr. Catherine Pinker, the Executive Director of Complementary Education Agency, to give us the welcome address. Madam, your audience, our Executive Director for the Complementary Education Agency. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and a warm good morning to all of you. Welcome, particularly our friends and partners from our neighboring countries, Nigeria, Burkina Faso, and Sierra Leone. I would like to acknowledge our chairman who has graciously accepted to chair this important function. Those of us who know Prof. Atintono, he's like a wind, very, very busy going around doing things because everybody wants to poach him for one thing or the other. And having him here, we are very fortunate, and we thank him so much for accepting to be chairperson for this program. Prof. Chair, our honorable ministers who are not here, we just got a wind that the honorable deputy minister in charge of general education is on his way coming. And so we will wait for him and we'll still acknowledge him. The Director Associate for Change, Dr. Leslie Casely Hayford, UNESCO Country Representative to Ghana, and his high-level rep here, Mr. Prosper Nyavo. The Chief Director, Mrs. Mamley Andrews, who is also on her way coming, but has sent an able person in the person of Mrs. Mavis. Mavis is here. Mavis is in charge of, in fact, he's wearing two big hats at the ministry. She's Director for General Administration. In fact, she took over from me, so she's my junior. And then she's also wearing the cap of the Policy Planning, Monitoring, Evaluation Directorates at the ministry. Auntie Mavis, thank you very much. We have other directors and colleagues from the ministry. You are all welcome. We have the Director General, Ghana Education Service, who is also couldn't come, but has nominated her able Director General Admin. She's in the pink dress there. She's also with us here. We have our Deputy Executive Director, Support Services, CEA, as well as Operations, participants from West African sub-region and the international community, my colleagues from the Office Complementary Education Agency, as well as Associate for Change. The two bodies had been very, very busy working around the clock to make sure that this program come this far, and we are very grateful. So I acknowledge you. I also want to acknowledge our media fraternity who has joined us here. I would say all other protocols duly observed. I deem it's a very great honor and pleasure that we all find ourselves here and that we are all part of this important gathering of distinguished personalities from the West African sub-region and other parts of the world. It is a privilege to have an opportunity to address such personalities like you, esteemed experts at this high-level conference regarding out-of-school children. On behalf of the Honorable Minister and staff of the ministry, especially the CEA and also Associate for Change, I warmly welcome you all and hope you find this conference worthwhile whilst enjoying your stay in Ghana, particularly our friends from our neighboring. The CEA, that is the Complementary Education Agency of the Ministry of Education, is super proud to collaborate with Associate for Change to bring together the experts in this area, deliberate on research findings on out-of-school children within the sub-region. The agency by law is mandated to deliver on complementary basic education, which in some jurisdictions is referred to as an accelerated education program. All of you, I must say, your passion for out-of-school children perfectly resonates with the complementary education agency here in Ghana, and we are very happy to have you in our midst. Therefore, Ghana, as a member of the Economic Community of West African States, that is the ECOWAS, is elated to play host to this conference, which focuses on out-of-school children. We appreciate your commitment to helping change the narrative in our sub-region. And it's good that we are seeing some results, and it's appreciable results. I'm very sure when we start looking at the outcomes of the research, we will see that we've been working. And so I echo to all of you, well done. Prof. Chair, the issue of out-of-school children remains a very delicate and also challenging in Ghana as well as within the sub-region. The future of every nation is dependent on the next generation. This has been talked about, reactivated over and over and over again. And I believe we all know that this particular sentence had never changed, that the next generation is dependent on our children. Unfortunately, the escalating phenomenon of out-of-school children is further exacerbated by instability in the sub-region. Hence, the narrative is obvious. Many children are out and about without education. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, there should be no public stance of neutrality on the situation confronting the future of our sub-region in relation to out-of-school child. By the stretch of our imagination, we should not turn away from any attempt to change the situation for better in the sub-region. If we walk away from working in tandem to scale down or eradicate out-of-school children, we will be forced to use cliché and unconvincing rhetoric to answer amplified questions. Therefore, we have to build synergies with out-of-school children experts, as this situation may be driven by its impact, thereby bringing about a significant shift in tone on the issues. In addition, the nexus between us and the issue of out-of-school children will be a sign of intensifying pressure to transform the phenomenon. And this is a fact. Admittedly, the sub-region is rich, super rich with information and data. Somebody should say no, or that I'm lying. When you come to Africa, we have a lot of information. We have a lot of data on issues that you want to dealt with. We do have them. Unfortunately, our priority is not to invest in data collection. Our priority is not into getting data analysis, applying them, and also manage them. That has been our problem. Most of the time when we get funding, our priorities are different areas, running programs left and right, but not to invest in research. And that has been our problem. That is why most of the time when policies are made, it becomes so difficult to implement and get results because it is not targeted and it's not based on facts. Researchers give us facts to be able to write and do good policies for implementation. The absence of this make policies and program development very, very weak and not far-reaching. At sub-Saharan countries and policymakers, can we, and this is just a question that I just want to pose, as a sub-Saharan countries like us gathering here, and policymakers, can we pride ourselves of investing a sizable amount of our budgets to evidence-based researches in any given area, including out-of-school issues? No. We can go back to our budgets, look at budget allocations, and see how much we have devoted or invested towards researchers. And you see that we're not doing well in getting researchers. We therefore see this tracer study by Associates for Change and partners as very important and critical to our cause. This, in no doubt, will help inform our respective policy planning, forecasting, and implementation. Hence, it is incumbent to use this platform today and tomorrow and beyond to connect and encourage stakeholders to invest in programs that can change the story. Again, the dissemination of accurate research data will attract development partners to even come on board. Nonetheless, this platform serves as a medium to build connections, platforms to address this situation on our hands. Prof. Chair, ladies and gentlemen, governments are committing funds to transform child education around the world. However, I might have to pause here for us to get up and welcome our Deputy Minister in charge of General Education. Please, let's welcome Dr. Ntim Fordjour. He's in charge of General Education at the Ministry of Education. Honorable, you are welcome. We are so grateful for your presence here. We know your task this morning, and we are very, very grateful you have time to be with us. It's not surprising. Any issues concerning out-of-school children, whenever you invite him, he will be here. If I tell you what he has next, that he's been here, it will surprise you. And out-of-school children, or CEA, actually falls directly under his ambit, since he is in charge of general education. Honorable, you are welcome. Prof. Chair, Honorable Minister, governments are committing funds to transforming child education around the world. However, the number of out-of-school children is overwhelming, making it difficult to handle all by ourselves. The government of the Republic of Ghana, through the Ministry of Education, has committed to supporting this cause through the establishment of the Complementary Education Agency, through an act of parliament which Prof. Atintono talked about. That is the CEA Act 2020 Act 1055. And also has committed budgetary support towards our programs. I believe we will put our acts together for a spirited and concerted effort within these 2 days. We will be able to build a body of information to convince stakeholders to take action and commit more resources to programs of out-of-school children across the sub-region. Ghana, we have already started, and we have very, very good programs running. Last year, we chalked a lot of successes in making sure that we mop up our communities and school and the streets of out-of-school children. We were able to get back into school over 3,000 out-of-school children. This year, we are even targeting more. We are targeting about 10,000 children, which have already started. And with our partners, we know that we are going to make it. We know that we are also going to learn best practices and experiences from our colleagues from our neighboring countries, our friends from the academia and the NGOs, and also in the researchers, companies, so that these 2 days will be very, very useful. Once again, I welcome you all to Ghana and to this conference, and I hope that we have a fruitful deliberation. God bless you.
That was a fascinating welcome address from the Director of Complementary Basic Education. Please permit me to acknowledge a delegation from Mali, from Burkina Faso, and also some few individuals who are with us via Zoom. They include Anthony, the Job Secretariat, Martha, Ahmed, and Kes. Prof. Chair, you've already presented that West Africa faces a critical challenge with a significant number of out-of-school children, a situation that was acknowledged by the Director General of the CEA, that this situation is exacerbated by socioeconomic factors, conflict, health issues. Recognizing the urgent need to address this issue, a consortium of research firms and think tanks, including Associates for Change, the Center for the Study of Economies of Africa, and Dallon Development Consultants. They have been working over the past 4 years to investigate and evaluate accelerated education and complementary basic education innovations that are aimed at reducing the number of out-of-school children across the West Africa region, with a special focus on girls' models. On this note, I would like to welcome the Executive Director for Associates for Change, Dr. Leslie Casely Hereford, to give us an overview of the research and outcomes of the conference and key findings for us. But before that, my co-MC, Mr. Patrick, will want to, well, he's just here to assist. I'm going to do this facilitation of the MC program with Mr. Patrick. Thank you. Dr. Leslie, you have the floor now to speak to your audience. Audience, the Director for Associates for Change, Dr. Leslie Casely Hereford. You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Dr. James, who's been a real advocate for out-of-school children, as many of you are. We want to welcome all of you. You've traveled far, some of you from Canada, Professor Robert Sauter from the University of Carleton. We have friends from Kenya, Patrick Willigembe from the IDRC, who's supporting this program. We have members of the Global Partnership for Education, UNESCO, UNICEF, the UNESCO Hub for 19 from Ethiopia. We want to thank STROM and many of you, especially the Accelerated Education Working Group that is positioning itself to really lead the cause on out-of-school children. Most importantly, we want to thank the Ministry of Education in Ghana through the direct leadership here of the Complementary Education Agency's CEO, Dr. Catherine Pinkra. We want to thank her and her team for getting us here today. And all of you in this room, you've all been very much handpicked because all of you have a stake and have been advocates and really protagonists of change in the space of out-of-school children. As you know, in Africa, this is a complex issue, and Catherine and others have mentioned, the chairperson, Professor Atintono, that the numbers are very complex. And today we're going to talk a little bit about that complexity. But we want to welcome you here for this next 2 days in order for us to forge a pathway to action where we would like to see governments going home with the framework and with an investment strategy to really ignite the issues around a second pathway to education in West Africa and hopefully one day Africa. I think I'm going to need a little bit of support here. Can somebody just show me how to flick that? Oh, perfect. Here we go. So our team has been talking about, we have an international steering committee. In every country we've been working with in the last few years, we've had, thanks to the Deputy Minister and others, a policy learning working group in Ghana, Sierra Leone, and Nigeria. These policy learning working groups are driven by the chair people, usually the chief directors in each country. Madame Mamele will be here soon, I hope, and she is the chairperson for the Ghana Policy Learning Working Group. We also have universities, University of Development Studies, University of Cape Coast, and others that are working with these policy learning working groups. And our teams contain a diversity of government as well as independent researchers, often about 25 in number in each country, and senior researchers who are working on our research. Here are some of the universities. The University of Cambridge has been very instrumental in the design of this research, along with Carleton, Ibadan, and Sierra Leone. Our global partners we've mentioned, the Brookings Institute has been instrumental on the scaling up strategies and the complexity around the theory of change. We've been working with Brookings for the last 3 years on some of the tooling up, along with UNICEF and UNESCO. The most important players in this arena are the civil society movement, because the civil society movement has taken us to where we are today. 20 years in Ghana, 30 years in Ghana, School for Life started the first accelerated education program in northern Ghana through the Danish government. They were supported for 20 years on the ground, and they brought over 100,000 children into AEPs. Through their advocacy and with the Ministry of Education and CEA, that has been able to visibly result in what we call a policy on out-of-school children in AEPs. I really want to commend these innovators. These are the friends on the ground every day trying to ensure that out-of-school children enter what we call complementary or accelerated education programming. The Ghana Institute of Linguistics, AfriKids and School for Life, Horn of Hope and Corno Borno are here from the northeast of Nigeria. I want to thank them for making the trip, as well as Sierra Leone. We'll be meeting with the Save the Children and others, and the Ministry of Basic Education and Secondary for Sierra Leone, who are in the forefront of innovating as well. We won't go through the numbers because you'll be hearing them over and over again, but just to say this, when we started the program 5 years ago, Nigeria had about 15 to 16 million children out of school. Today, they have somewhere between 19 and 22 million, and you cannot be precise on that number. No matter how many hours you will take on the internet to try and see what the UNESCO statistics tell you or the UNICEF statistics tell you, you will never get a precise number. We have a census data. Census data in Ghana showed 600,000 children out of school about 5 years ago when we started. Now it's up to 1.2 million from the census. Sierra Leone, the same. The numbers of children are rising in West Africa. No matter how you crunch the numbers, they're rising. It's not because AEPs are failing. The question is, we have not invested in any alternative pathway in a rigorous and sustained manner. The donor community has supported us, Canada, IDRC and others, especially the Norwegians, Strom Foundation, and others have supported accelerated education, and we commend them. But it's not enough. It's woefully not enough. Supply and demand factors persist. You'll see in the next few days the same persistent demand factors, poverty, sociocultural practices, and what have you. We have all the data to show that in Ghana's case, over 20% of children are out of school, and there's another 20% ready to drop out of school. The statistics show not only those that are out of school, but those that receive poor quality education at primary level are on the verge of dropout because they do not read and write. Same in Nigeria. These are very underestimated in Nigeria's case, 26, 25%. If you go to Borno State or to Professor Ronnie's state of Niger, you'll see far more than 30% out of school in those states. Friends, the reason we have gathered here, and I really want to thank the Deputy Minister for staying back from a very important meeting he's about to attend at, I'm sure, at 1 o'clock today, overseas. We are here because each one of us brings to the table something important. Madame Pinkra, Dr. Pinkra mentioned that the Act of Parliament has been passed. The Deputy Minister and other MPs in Parliament have passed an act to create an institution called the Complementary Education Agency. That CEA emerged out of non-formal department. The non-formal education division of Ghana had been really leading the way of AEPs, but most importantly with civil society. The World Bank and others financed, and we resulted over the last 30 years of deliberations. I came here in 1994 and we started talking about the policy. The policy was approved for out-of-school children with a 1% budget line, which we're not happy about, and I'm hoping the minister can take that up in the subcommittee. But 1% of the basic education budget was allocated for CEA to operate with its colleagues in the civil society groups, and resulting in curriculum as well as monitoring and evaluation. The second player on the field here is Nigeria. And we want to commend the government of Nigeria for creating 3 levels of AEPs. Level 1, that's for primary, lower primary. If you do that one, it goes for, you integrate into the higher levels of primary education at P3 level, grade 3. If you enter the level 2 in Nigeria, you're certified to go to P5 or 6. If you enter level 3 in Nigeria's AEP program, you enter junior high school and write the basic education exam. Our friends here from Nigeria will tell us more in the afternoon about this process, but they are furthest along in terms of curriculum development. Next is Sierra Leone, who has really been in the forefront in the last 5 years of using the evidence and research that Delon consultants have developed in Sierra Leone. The evidence has been transmitted to the minister, and he's been able to attract Qatar funding for a large-scale program that's on the ground in Sierra Leone on AEPs. He's working, and what's so unique about Sierra Leone is they recognize they can't do it alone. Sierra Leone's government has put together guidelines for collaborating with nonprofit organizations in the delivery through Save the Children Fund in the delivery of AEPs across Sierra Leone, and they will be delivering about a $20 million project on the ground in the next few years, and we'll hear more from our Sierra Leone. So all of us, and most importantly our Francophone counterparts, Niger, Burkina Faso, et aussi le Mali. Ils sont les personnes qui sont très, très connues avec l'éducation accélérée. We have really strong resource people here in our midst in table number 2. Let's give them a hand. We have Moussa, Dr. Moussa, who's been leading the way in Mali for USAID, STROM, and others on accelerated education. Merci beaucoup, Monsieur Dr. Moussa. Et aussi Yaro, Catherine, and Marcel de Burkina Faso. They have a government that has done a white paper on accelerated education, and they have a framework for investment. So everyone is coming to the table with that. I want to end with just a few final comments about what accelerated education is. It's multidimensional. In Ethiopia and Liberia and Ghana, we have the Luminous Foundation that is really helping governments to help us with what we call speed schools. In Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, we have STROM Foundation that is supporting thousands of speed schools in these countries. Why? Because in West Africa, as Madame Catherine has mentioned, we are on the verge of several conflicts and school closure. Unfortunately, Burkina Faso has 6,500 schools that have closed in the last 2 or 3 years, and they have also had to find ways to ensure that speed schools start up in those areas. Complementary basic education is the model that Nigeria and Ghana are using. Ghana has 1 level, and it transitions its children into P3 and P4, and Nigeria has 3 levels. Thanks to USAID, the curriculum has been developed for those 3 levels. As I mentioned, Sierra Leone did many of its research with the BRAC and with Save the Children Fund on girls' empowerment models, which have an additional aspect, which is called income generation. So apart from the literacy and numeracy aspect, life skills, they add a dimension of investment in income generation. In the AEWG realm, we have principles in which every one of you, I'm sure, will read. There's 10 principles of complementary basic and AEPs. These are principles that relate to local facilitators. Mostly AEPs are developed by having a local facilitator, a person from the community who is the educationalist and works in a participatory manner to ensure that literacy and numeracy is achieved. These principles are globally recognized. The second principle I want to mention about AEPs is it's community-driven. Communities are tired of not receiving trained teachers in rural Ghana, in rural Mali, in rural Niger. And now, due to conflict, they can no longer wait. The child cannot wait. So if governments can invest in accelerated education, they will be bringing on board a community-driven approach with localized facilitators who can transition to become teachers through distance education programming. These models have been well thought out and the evidence is there. I want to thank the KICS GPE program for enabling Dallon, CSEA, and Associates for Change to collaborate over the last 5 years on our research. We've really gone a long road. And I want to really give my partners from Dallon and CSEA a really big hand. Thank you. It's been a long road, but I think for out-of-school children, we're finally getting some attention. The AU is on board right now. We have AEWG and the UNESCO and UNICEF also. The design of the research, as Madame Pinkra had mentioned, Dr. Pinkra, it was a 4-year study. Thanks to KICS GPE, they extended for 1 more year, and it was very much needed. The first year, we did an out-of-school mapping exercise where all the countries across approximately 200 communities went in and mapped out the number of out-of-school children using household survey data. And we were building on existing studies. The next 2 years were tracer studies that we traced at children that had entered the system in primary and junior high school. And the last year, which was last year in 2023, we went to senior high school and TVET to see where these children had attained. Dr. James will be presenting the research for us in a few minutes about the learning outcome data after the minister speaks. The last year we will be in the urban setting where senior high school students and junior high school students are on the streets. It's a very problematic issue because we've made them, the AEP programs have allowed them to go through these upper levels of education, but because they are unable to attain tertiary education, they find themselves often in apprenticeships and non-formal. What is the summary of our findings? And then I'll end and I'll send it over to Dr. James. There are growing numbers of out-of-school children, there's no doubt about it. The learning outcomes, despite the fact that they will skip 3 or 4 years of primary school, or in some cases in Nigeria, 8 years, they'll enter an AEP program for 2 or 3 in Mali and Niger, and we can speak to the Burkina Faso and Mali delegates, and we find that they're at par with their counterparts at primary 4 and 5. And Dr. James will be showing us the data on that. They are resilient to learning. Once they enter APs, they strengthen their confidence level, especially girls. And they enter with negotiation and skills that they would not have had without AEPs. Many of them have become resilient to learning. So whether they have a teacher or not in the classroom, they become the teacher. They start teaching their other children in the class how to read and write in mother tongue and later in English. They become role models in these areas, and the qualitative research showed that the facilitators make a primary investment in mentoring and coaching them. Finally, there's a high rate of transition. Whether the program is focused on transitioning to the formal school or not, BRAC's model was not. They all want to go back to school. Why would we want to put this model forward? And it's not a new model that's been going on for over 25 years. The question is, are we ready to invest? We have the private sector here. The UAE has been interested in investment, but most importantly, for the next decade, we need government investment. And we are putting forward a platform for this conference that has 3 mandates. The mandate is to foster full investment and ownership by government and share the key evidence, share the legislative instruments, and put a platform forward for us to make a change in accelerated education as a second pathway to education in West Africa. Most importantly, the last one, can I just get the last what is expected? The expected outcomes, and I'll share this slides with you. I just wanted to end. Oh, I'm having trouble with this, I think. We want to have an enhanced understanding of best practice, strengthen the partnership, build a collective action plan, and commit countries. And you'll see in some of our documentation, 5 to 10% of investment by government in order to create a regional fund for Africa on social investment that they can pull down if the government invests 50% of its financing, with donor financing being matched at 50%. So co-financing arrangement for programs that are going to be on the ground in West Africa. I want to thank everyone, especially all of you here, the Deputy Minister, thank you for attending, and we wish you all the best. Thank you.
Right, so Dr. Leslie, thank you for giving us this brief overview of the project, the outcomes of the conference, and the key findings across Africa. I want to skip some presentations, and then we give the opportunity to the Deputy Minister to give his remarks before he leaves us. So on this note, let me invite Mr. Emmanuel Intim, who's a Deputy Executive Director at the CEA, to introduce the Minister for us. Thank you.
Thank you, MC. Good morning, everyone. I want to stand on the already established protocols to introduce our keynote speaker. It is esteemed honor to introduce a visionary leader intelligent, eloquent, and a true icon in the field of education in Ghana. Our keynote speaker is the Deputy Minister for Education in charge of general education of the Ministry of Education. He is a politician, mineral engineer, entrepreneur, legislator, and an ordained Reverend Minister of God. He has background in engineering, mining, international relations, and economic policy. He's a second-term member of Parliament for Asen South constituency in the Parliament of Ghana and served as Deputy Minister for Education. He is also a member of Foreign Affairs Committee of Parliament of the Republic of Ghana. He focuses on supporting the Minister for Education to drive education transformation at the pre-tertiary level with a particular passion for foundational learning, STEM, and inclusive education. With a proud steering career in mining industry, he served as the human resources superintendent of Goldfields Ghana Limited, Tarkwa Mine, the biggest surface mine in West Africa at age 24, where he creditably delivered the owner maintenance transition project by setting up a newly created heavy mining equipment department with 465 expatriate and critical skill national employees. He is a product of Asen Manso Senior High School in the Central Region. He graduated with a bachelor's degree in mineral engineering from George Grant University of Mines and Technology, Tarkwa, at age 21. He holds a Master of Arts degree in economic policy management from University of Ghana, and currently he is concluding his PhD in political science at the University of Ghana, with research focused on Ghana's foreign policy and decision at the United Nations General Assembly and the Security Council. He holds a certificate in anti-corruption methods and good governance from Georgetown University, Washington, D.C., and is committed to governance with integrity. He leads beyond partisan rhetorics, and he is an ardent advocate for godly and proper sexual rights and family values. He serves as pastor of Victory Bible Church International, High Sanctuary in East Legon, Accra. He is married to a beautiful Tracy with 4 kids. Throughout his illustrious career, he has consistently demonstrated an unveiling dedication, innovative thinking, and a passion for making meaningful impact in education delivery in Ghana. Prof. Chairperson, with your kindest permission, I introduce to you Honorable Reverend John Ntim-Fodjo as our keynote speaker for this August conference. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ntim. When the one to introduce you has the same name as you have, you can expect that he'll be so generous that the introduction will be longer than your speech itself. And when Dr. Leslie switched into French, I said to my good friend Kathleen that the Canadians have arrived. They always show they go bilingual. But welcome you all from Sierra Leone, Nigeria, Burkina Faso, and Mali, and Canada, and all the countries that are duly represented here. Make sure that you taste our jollof so we settle the battle right here. I'm sure Sierra Leone will win a vote in Sierra Leone and Mali, Canada, and Burkina Faso. Nigeria will be on their own. Professor Chair, Professor Atintono, my very good friend. The Director for Associate for Change, Dr. Leslie Castley-Hayford, who has been very instrumental in this high-level conference coming to being. The Executive Director of Complementary Education Agency, Dr. Catherine Appiah-Pinkra. Our friends from Canada, High Commission, Mrs. Kathleen Flynn-Dapa, and Professor Robert Sauder from Carleton University, and our colleague from IDRC. And I see across the room
wide array of development partners from UNESCO, from IAPA, from Jacobs Foundation, and all distinguished friends from the partnering organizations that supported Associate for Change in providing this evidence, from Nigeria, Sierra Leone, the Land Consult, and all our friends. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm deeply excited to be here on behalf of Dr. Oseduchum, the Minister for Education, and I'm excited to participate at this high-level conference on tackling the out-of-school challenge we have in this country, and we have in Africa, and we have globally, and particularly zooming down on how we can provide solutions and partnerships that will tackle it in our sub-region. I bring you the warm compliments of the Minister, and this is a very important high-level discussion, and I'm very happy to see very key people from various countries who are doing exciting things, who are doing great things and impactful action plan policies, who are putting credible investment the past years and making a difference in their countries and tackling assertively the out-of-school challenges we have in Africa. But the challenge we have with out-of-school and the growing numbers of children who are dropping out of school is quite troubling. The evidence of the growing numbers of children that are out of school is one that of serious concern. In 2020, the Education Commission, which is now the Learning Generation, proceeded a report and indicated that if nothing changes in our education system by the year 2030, globally, nearly 285 million young people may reach adulthood without the skills needed to thrive in today's world. Ladies and gentlemen, specifically zooming down on evidence on out of school, it is estimated by 2021, as of 2021, that 244 million young people and children between the ages of 6 and 18 are out of school. And out of this number, about 40% is prevalent in sub-Saharan Africa, nearly about 98 million. So fast forward to 2024, we can be sure that the numbers have increased, and that is of serious concern, given the fact that regardless the natural resources and endowments any country may have, the surest bet and the guarantee to sustained socio-economic development and prosperity of any country is through human capital empowerment. And so to have the teeming youth increasingly dropping out of school and not being included in that empowerment and giving them the pathway that will position them to credibly contribute to nation building and socio-economic development is quite troubling. We want to build a population with a critical mass with the skills needed to drive the kind of development we want to see and to drive us out of poverty and to be on the path of sustained prosperity. This calls for ensuring that no child is left behind. So we must ensure that we achieve the universal basic education, we achieve the SDG goals of ensuring that education becomes a right education, quality education, and inclusive, and that is accessible to all, regardless of where they are located and their socio-economic background. And so whilst we are busy keeping children in school, many are still dropping out for various reasons and adding up to the already piling numbers. But we thank Associate for Change and their partners for bringing this evidence to the fore and convening this high-level conference that is going to prefer alternative policies and action plans and going to steer us in a direction where investment will be directed. I'm also excited to see development partners who are already committed on this path and supporting countries in pushing investment into ensuring we bring our children out of school, back into school, reintegrate them, and empower them, and get them the skills needed to make a difference. We in Ghana have made very good strides, but there's lots more to be done. And I know that Nigeria, Sierra Leone, Burkina Faso, Mali have all done their parts the past 10 years, but there's still, the numbers are increasing. We reshaped the legislative framework and ensured that we established the Complementary Education Agency. And recently, as we had new leadership, very dynamic Executive Director, Dr. Catherine, we've seen tremendous change. Last year, we saw some 3 million children that were reintegrated, and very ambitious target of putting some 10,000 students back in school by close of the year. We also have the support of the World Bank in another program we call JOB that is targeting 70,000 out-of-school children. And within the first year, 17,000 children have been reintegrated. And so we are on the path of ensuring that our targets are met. But dealing with 1.2 million out-of-school children still puts us on the path that much more partnerships must be strengthened and explored to ensure that we reach many more people who are out of school. Nigeria, as per the presentation done by Dr. Leslie, 19 million. I won't believe that this number may have even increased. Sierra Leone is also grappling with about 1 million out-of-school children. But one child at a time, one partnership at a time, I believe that even if we may not in the next 5 years be able to attain 0 out-of-school children, we will be able to make assertive impacts in tackling this challenge and be able to ensure that a good number of our future generation are empowered and given the opportunity for skills and given the opportunity to access education and the opportunity to realize their dreams. And therefore, I would want to urge our partners here. I know IDRC has already shown commitment and demonstrated profoundly the past years supporting countries in tackling the out-of-school challenge. We want to strengthen that. I'm sure Dr. Catherine can't wait to pitch a proposal that will target some 10,000 or more, or even 100,000 students. And I know that IDRC is equally passionate. Jacob Foundation is here, and all partners. But beyond this, I'm looking forward to a time where we'll have a dedicated global fund that is dedicated, set up and dedicated to tackling the issue of out-of-school children, ensuring that every child, beyond the rhetorics and beyond the commitments that are given by leaders of countries at United Nations year on year, we see a commitment to a global fund that is going to equitably be discharged and applied to tackling this. So we have lamented on the challenge sufficiently, and I look forward that these 2 days will afford us the opportunity to zoom into the solutions, zoom into the policy alternatives, into the action plans, into the innovations that we can co-create and ensure that partners may also jump on board as government lead the way and committing funds and resources adequately beyond the 1% we may have started, which is a good commitment, but beyond that, to strengthen partnerships further, to reach more people that are out of school, to give them the future that our countries need. On this note, I wish you a successful conference. We are very excited and look forward to the outcome of the conference, and this will definitely shape our policies and investments going forward on the issue of out of school. I thank you. God bless you.
We can do it better. Shall we repeat it? Right. So, Honorable Deputy Minister, thank you so much for giving us this keynote address. We now revert to the program and call on a representative of the African Union, who's the person of Dr. Sophia Ashpala, to give us a brief remarks. And of course, if there are some expectations from the African Union, we will gladly listen to those expectations. Right. I'm told that she's not online at the moment, so therefore we can now move to Geoff and then invite Hajia Hai to give us some opening remarks as well as expectations for this high-level 2-day conference. Is Hajia Hai online? Lisa, is Hajia online? Okay. So please, let's listen to Hajia Hai, who's the director at Geoff, for a brief opening remarks. Thank you. If she's not ready, can we move to the next presenter? Please, are you ready? Okay, on that note, let me skip and then invite Global Partnership for Education rep, if they are present here, to give us a brief opening remarks as well as their expectations.
Good morning, everyone. I hope I'm audible.
Okay, so we are taking a presentation from Job. Please, let's all be seated and pay attention to this brief presentation. All right,
Thank
so
you
the
very
next.
much. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, honored dignitaries, guests, and colleagues. I'm Joe Akis. I work for the Global Partnership for Education as the thematic lead for early learning, and I'm delighted to be joining you remotely at the start of these 2 days of important discussion. The Global Partnership of Education is the world's only partnership and fund focused exclusively on bringing quality education to children in lower-income countries. GP mobilizes partnerships and invests in transforming education systems in nearly 90 lower-income countries so that every boy and girl can get quality education and unlock their full potential. As a core asset of GP and jointly implemented with the International Development Research Center, IDRC, the Knowledge and Innovation Exchange, or KICS, connects the expertise, innovation, and knowledge of GP partner countries and helps countries build stronger education systems. It's dedicated to helping low-income countries identify and close knowledge gaps, strengthen their ability to use knowledge, and bring innovation to scale so that more children get quality education. KICS is the largest fund solely dedicated to meet global public goods in education with a budget of $165 million US. KICS works with nearly 120 partners in over 70 countries to strengthen evidence-informed policy dialogue and practice. KICS is a country support mechanism, responding to the demand from GP partner countries with 4 regional hubs that provide space for countries to share knowledge, innovation, and good practices. There are 2 hubs in sub-Saharan Africa, and hubs offer a tailored support in both policy research and country capacity to develop and use evidence when making policy decisions. KICS is also a funding mechanism that provides grants in 53 countries to generate knowledge and innovation and to scale proven approaches in data systems, gender and social inclusion, teacher professional development, and early childhood care and education. KICS currently funds over 45 applied research projects, mostly implemented by organizations based in partner countries. We're delighted KICS was able to provide a grant to Associates for Change, the Center for the Study of Economies in Africa, as well as Adele Development Consultants to analyze 4 ongoing accelerated education innovation programs in Ghana, Sierra Leone, and Nigeria. We'll be hearing more about these insights in the next few days. We're also delighted to have been able to support the consideration of this research findings in this critical forum. This element is innovative and crucial, considering how the research translates into practical actions that support the learning of children in Ghana, Sierra Leone, and Nigeria. The research insights are pioneering, as is this dialogue with the support by KICS and partnerships being created. On behalf of GPE, I wish to acknowledge the exemplary leadership of the Ministry of Education of Ghana in supporting this critical discussion and forum, the technical leadership of Associates for Change, and the collaboration of all partners gathered today. You set an example for others and a high bar for collaboration and use of evidence and policy dialogue. We thank you for your work and will continue to support you in your critical endeavors. I wish you an excellent, productive few days. Thank you very much.
Right, so that was a brilliant presentation from the Global Partnership, right, for Education. Thank you. Shall I now invite Dr. Patrick, who is the IDRC regional rep based in Canada, to give us his opening remarks. Patrick, you're welcome.
So I'll make some corrections there. Patrick Ologembe is my name, and I work with the East Africa Regional Office, IDRC, working with the GPE KICS program. The regional director is Catherine Turi, who is not here with us. But I'm representing a number of people, including my program lead, who is based in Ottawa. Her name is Tricia Wind, who is online right now. So thank you very much, all the previous speakers, and good morning, distinguished guests, the organizers, the key education stakeholders and partners, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed. I join the previous speakers in warmly welcoming you to this conference, a platform dedicated to addressing the pressing issue of out-of-school children in West Africa, a topic of utmost importance for the continent. Let me take this opportunity to offer a special thank you to our partner, Associates for Change, for organizing and inviting all of us to this conference, whose theme touches a very important topic for Africa as a continent. I specifically want to thank you for inviting the Global Partnership for Education team, whose representative have just been speaking to us, the International Development Research Center, IDRC, and of course the GPE Knowledge, Innovation and Exchange Program, otherwise known as KICS, that I stand here to represent at this conference this morning. Today I stand here on behalf of my colleagues at IDRC and on behalf of the GPE KICS program as a sign of solidarity with you in addressing the challenge of out-of-school children in West Africa. As we all know, and more so with the challenges of the 21st century, the education of our young people plays and will continue to play a pivotal role in human development. With a significant number of children out of school in West Africa, like we have seen, we must recognize that we are faced with a significant threat to human development. Over the years, we have learned a lot about the role of accelerated education programs, AEPs, in addressing the out-of-school crisis in different parts of Africa and I think the world. But recognize the fact that there is more for us to learn, as we're going to do in the next 2 days. I want to thank the organizers of the conference for getting us together to reflect on the best practices, engage with emerging research findings, and explore synergies and partnerships to address this issue further, particularly accelerated education programs. The applied research that has been undertaken in West Africa will be valuable to ongoing discussions on resolving the challenges of the education sector in West Africa. We at GPE KICS are particularly thrilled about the work that Associates for Change and the partners have undertaken. And at GPE KICS, we commit to continuing to work with key partners to strengthen the generation of evidence that supports national and regional planning, policies, data, and knowledge sharing on this subject. I would like to recognize and appreciate all the representatives for the national delegation of the Africa 19 Hub. I also would like to acknowledge the ICBA representative who will be speaking to us at some point. And just to note that this platform over the next two days is another way to ensure that KICS funded, the GPE KICS funded research connects with the hub, the Africa 19 Hub. Thank you so much once again. We're looking forward to learning and engaging over the next 2 days. Lastly, allow me to, on a very, very special note, to appreciate someone whose passion really inspires. Dr. Leslie, I don't know how many times you hear this, but just to mention this on behalf of many people that I speak to, that we really, really appreciate your passion for education sector. I just wish that there's so many Leslies around, not just in West Africa, but in East Africa and in Africa as a whole. We really appreciate your passion, your dedication to this subject. It's really, really inspiring for all of us. Thank you very, very much. Looking forward to what's going to happen here the next few days. God bless you. Thank you.
Great. Right, so thank you so much, Patrick, for this brilliant opening remarks. The next person on my list is Kathleen Flynn Dapar, who is a Director, Development and Head of Cooperation, High Commission of Canada in Ghana. She plays a key role in promoting Canada's feminist international assistance policy, which emphasizes gender equality and the empowerment of women and girls. She previously worked as Director, Education, Gender-Based Violence, and Child Protection for Global Affairs Canada. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Madame Kathleen to give us a brief opening remarks. Thank you.
Deputy Minister of Education, Honorable John Ntim Fujor, Chairman Professor Antin Tono, Dr. Leslie Casely Hayford of the Associates for Change, Dr. Catherine Prinkra, Complementary Education Agency, representatives from the Ministry of Education in Ghana, including Complementary Education Agency, TVET Services, and Ghana Education Services, representatives from the Ministries of Education in Nigeria and Sierra Leone, where I am also the head of cooperation for Sierra Leone, so I'm very happy that you're here as well. Les représentants des ministères d'éducation au Burkina Faso, au Mali et au Niger, representatives from IDRC, the AU, Global Partnership for Education, INEE, UNICEF, and UNESCO, researchers, academics, civil society, development partners, and media. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I want to say what a pleasure it is to be here. What isn't known from my bio is that I spent the first 10 years of my career working for IDRC, and then the next 12 years working in education and child protection, 3 years on First Nation education reform in Canada, and another 9 years at Global Affairs Canada on child protection and education. So I feel very at home in this room today and feel a great passion for the work that's happening here. And it's just lovely to read all the names of these organizations that I know so well. So thank you for having me today. Canada is a committed partner in advancing quality education for all. And through our Charlevoix Declaration, the Together for Learning campaign, we have focused on the need, where the need is greatest. That is quality education for girls, for women, for refugees, displaced populations, and host communities, and other marginalized children and youth. Canada is also a proud and long-standing supporter of the Global Partnership for Education and their mission to transform education systems globally. We know that it is crucial for education policy to be built on solid and contextually relevant evidence and innovation. And at a time when needs are high and resources may be scarce, strong evidence is critical to maximizing the impact of every dollar invested in education. We're pleased that Canada, through the International Development Research Centre, IDRC, co-funds and implements GPE's Research and Evidence Arm, the GPE Knowledge and Innovation Exchange, or KICS. KICS supports locally driven research and knowledge exchange that builds and mobilizes the evidence needed to strengthen national education systems in GPE partner countries. Importantly, this evidence is rooted in the unique contextual realities of each country. Research themes are identified through consultations with national education stakeholders on their priorities, and KICS projects engage these stakeholders throughout the research process. This approach ensures that the evidence KICS supports is relevant and immediately useful to partner countries. We also recognize the immense value of supporting inter-country learning and collaboration among different stakeholders. While each context is unique, we see many similar education priorities and challenges across the regions. By creating spaces to share knowledge and promising approaches, innovations can be adapted to address the unique circumstances in each country. I look forward to seeing that in action over the next couple of days as we hear from all the education researchers, policymakers, practitioners, and philanthropists who are tackling the out-of-school challenge in West Africa. I'm confident that we will all leave enriched by the diversity of perspectives represented in this room and the unique opportunity this conference affords to collaborate across such a wide range of education stakeholders. KICS has seen notable results from processes like these that bring the different stakeholders together to tackle shared challenges. For example, following an inter-country learning exchange hosted by KICS Africa 19 Hub, the Gambia has adopted good practices they learned from Kenya to develop a curriculum that teaches the key competencies, skills, and values needed by students to thrive in the 21st century. In Niger and Burkina Faso, following national policy dialogues organized by the KICS Africa 21 Hub, policymakers, researchers, and civil society members work together to identify promising innovations that can be scaled to strengthen national policy and practice. I look forward to seeing equally significant results coming from this conference. Leslie put forward the expected outcomes, and they are real and they are tangible, and that's what we want to see come from this. With an estimated 244 million children currently out of school, the evidence on the impact of accelerated education programs to ensure equitable and quality learning for every child comes at a critical moment. KICS-supported research has shown that AEPs represent a cost-effective, contextually relevant education solution to out-of-school children across West Africa. The effectiveness of AEPs in reaching out-of-school girls and children living in areas of fragility and extreme poverty makes them a key part of the pathway towards ensuring equitable learning for every child. I'm eager to hear more about the emerging findings on the effectiveness of AEPs in West Africa. I also look forward to hearing how each of the different groups represented here today are implementing their AEP legislation, policies, strategies, and curriculum in their own contexts, and to learn from each other about how we can collaborate to scale up these models to advance quality education for all. Thank you very much, Medasse.
Thank you so much, Kathleen, for that wonderful opening remarks. Next on my list is a representative from the Interagency Network for Education in Emergencies. Prof. Chair, permit me to welcome Mr. Musa, Program Coordinator and Education Advisor for STAM Foundation. Oh, okay, sorry, thank you so much. So I have been informed that Martha will do that for us. She's currently online. Colleagues, please let's pay attention and give her the maximum support that she requires from us. Thank you so much. So Martha, the floor is open for you.
Great, thank you so much. So my name is Martha Huursen, and I'm representing the Interagency Network for Education in Emergencies, or INEE, Accelerated Education Working Group. It's so wonderful to see everyone in the room today, and I'm so pleased to see such high-level engagement and interest in this conference on out-of-school children and youth. all protocol observed. The Accelerated Education Working Group is made up of education partners working in accelerated education, and it's currently led by INEE. It has representation from 20 organizations, including international and national NGOs, donors, and UN agencies. And we are delighted to give these brief opening remarks at such an important and strategic conference. I think we all know about the SDGs, and SDG 4, if we are to realize it, we really have to accelerate progress. Millions of children and youth remain out of school, especially when educational systems are struggling with the implementation of universal education, growing populations, and increasing displacement and migration. Flexible education opportunities are required if we are to meet the needs of all of these children and youth, including out-of-school children and youth who have missed out on substantial amounts of education. And I think whilst we all agree that providing education for all learners is important, those who are out of school or who have missed out on education are more at risk. With each missed school year, there is a greater likelihood that these learners will be unable to return back to formal education, and this results in greater risks to their protection, which I know everybody here is very aware of. And Leslie talked about, and I heard a lot of statistics in some of the previous speakers, and I know it's very difficult to get accurate statistics, but when I was preparing for this, using the Global Education Monitoring Report and the UNESCO data, I found that there's 57 million children and youth not in school today in West and Central Africa. And this represents almost 1 in 4 out-of-school children worldwide. West Africa is home to several countries with high out-of-school children and youth numbers: Nigeria, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. And this number is growing at an alarming rate due to increased number of schools closing due to insecurity, forced displacement, and high levels of poverty. The profiles of out-of-school children and youth in West and Central Africa, and not just those who are out of school, but also those who are at risk of dropping out, are diverse and multifaceted. And while national realities vary, the out-of-school rates at the primary level are vastly higher for children in rural areas and those from the poorest income quintile. So accelerated education programs and other key alternative education programs are really a key way to allow older learners who have missed out on a substantial amount of education to access an age-appropriate, responsive, and relevant education that results in a recognized certificate. And this recognized certificate is key to allow these learners to transition into other pathways. Currently, accelerated education programs are implemented by ministries and partners in West and Central Africa, providing opportunities for these learners. And while the programs have been named differently, and already we heard some accelerated education and speed school models, and in some cases the target group and the relationship with the national system might vary, the overall aim has been similar in delivering a condensed content within a shorter time frame in a safe space for overage, out-of-school children and youth. Aligning and integrating these programs into national education standards and policies, and ensuring there is adequate investment and ownership is key to ensuring sustainable opportunities for some of the most vulnerable learners in the region. I know this is one of the focuses of this conference, and this is also a key area of work of the Accelerated Education Working Group. In 2022, the Accelerated Education Working Group hosted a regional workshop for 8 countries in West and Central Africa in Dakar, bringing country teams made up of ministries and stakeholders working in accelerated education together. And in 2023, we hosted a similar workshop in Latin America and the Caribbean. This conference is key in bringing stakeholders from several countries in the region together to share best practices, research findings, and foster dialogue, collaboration, and mutual learning. And in all the regional workshops that we've done, one of the key feedbacks that we get from participants is the opportunity to share, to collaborate, and to learn from each other. I'm very sorry that I'm unable to join you, but my colleagues, Musa from the Strom Foundation, Burkina Faso, and Dr. Chima from Nigeria, who have also been working with the AWG, and they're also members of the AWG, are going to present some of the work and the tools and resources. And Dr. Chima will also talk on a panel tomorrow about some of the work that the AWG has done, particularly our engagement at national level. So although I can't be with you, I know I'm very well represented. After any of the presentations that Musa or Dr. Chima do, please reach out. They will share my contacts if you're interested in learning any more or getting access to all of our tools and guidance. Sorry I can't be there, but I really wish you all the best in the next 2 days. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam. We will now have 2 last opening remarks before we have our snack break. So I plead with you to remain calm, and let's give support to the remaining 2 presenters before we take a group photo here and then proceed to have the tea break. So we are expecting Dr. Victoria Kanobi to give us, she represents UNESCO Kicks Africa 19 Hub, to give us her opening remarks. Madam, I know you will do it briefly because I've been alerted that the tea break is long overdue. Thank you.
Good morning. At least say good morning to me. Thank you very much. I bring you greetings from UNESCO ICBA. We are the lead for the Kicks Africa 19 Hub, which is managed by 3 consortium partners. That is UNESCO ICBA, the UNICEF SRO, and the African Union. I won't bore you much concerning the hub, Kicks Hub. You've heard a lot about the hub, but we want to really thank so much the Africa Associates for Change for inviting us here. Thank you very, very, very much. And we want to congratulate you so much and all the other partners for this far that you have come in terms of the high-level conference that is tackling the challenge of out-of-school children in West Africa. I've been listening to the statistics you presented today, and the situation is not different from East Africa. In fact, Ethiopia has got about 3.5 out of million out-of-school children. So we are learning a lot as the hub, and on behalf of the Kicks Africa 19 Hub, we want to reiterate that despite the progress that is being made at the continent, we'll need to learn more from each other. We are supporting 19 countries in the Kicks Africa 19 Hub, and Ghana is one of them. We have others, mostly at the Horn of Africa, which is a crisis-affected country with a lot of issues. So we are here to learn from you. We did a study for Ethiopia, Kenya, Uganda, South Sudan, and others. But the results are quite interesting in terms of many young people that are dropping out of school because of many factors. But because we also have the theme on teachers, we are also realizing that a lot needs to be done concerning the teaching profession. Yes, we need teachers to be trained in terms of learner-centered approaches, in terms of active and collaborative pedagogies. We need these teachers to deliver the age-appropriate kind of curriculum that you're talking about, as well as making sure that learning is competency-based, inclusive, and conflict-sensitive, especially when you're targeting out-of-school young people. We'll be presenting this evening more about the study and things that are coming out and what we need to do concerning strengthening the teaching profession to cater for the out-of-school young people. I know the focus is on learners. How about the teachers? I think we need to think about them too. So in line with that, we want to say that we are supporting the interventions, the movement, and the key lessons that are coming out, and we are looking forward to learning more what we can scale on the continent in line with the other KICS Africa 19 countries. We have the Anglophone hub, the French hub, and I'm sure my colleagues will be presenting. So with those few remarks, allow me to thank you so much for the far you have come, and I'm keen to learn more. We are having an upcoming research symposium that will be hosted at the African Union in November 18th to 22, and we're looking forward to your papers. Please look out for the call, submit papers, and we normally give scholarships for those good papers. So look out for the link on our GPE website and KICS website so that you can share some of these findings beyond the four corners of this room. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, that's fine. Thank you, Vic. Please, the profiles of the various speakers can be found from pages 10 to 16. I'm sorry that I have, because of time, I deliberately omitted reading the profiles of the various speakers. So if you want to have more information, kindly refer to the brochure from pages 10 to 16. Let me now invite the final person to give us the opening remarks. He is the person of Dr. Chuka, the Executive Director of CC. He's going to do this on behalf of the consortium and also on behalf of the consortium. Thank you so much, Chuka. You're welcome.
Good morning, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, esteemed colleagues and honored delegates. It's always a pleasure to be in Accra. So good morning, and it's a pleasure and privilege to welcome you all to this high-level conference on tackling the out-of-school children challenge in West Africa, research evidence to drive action and investment. Today we gather here not merely as part of the West African Research Consortium, but as dedicated advocates for the millions of children in West Africa who are currently out of school. This issue is at the heart of West Africa's future, and it is our collective responsibility to address it. Education is not just a fundamental human right, but also a cornerstone of sustainable development, economic growth, and social stability. The scale of the challenge before us is staggering. It's quite unimpressive. According to UNESCO and Brookings Institution, 244 million children and youth worldwide are out of school, with 98 million of them in sub-Saharan Africa alone. West Africa has the highest number of out-of-school children in Africa, at 40%, followed by Eastern Africa at 34%. Central Africa, 13%, Southern Africa, 10%, and Northern Africa, 3%. Poverty, conflict, cultural practices, and inadequate educational infrastructure deny millions of these children in West Africa the opportunity to attend school. So this conference is seen as a call to action, a platform for us to pool our expertise, share shared innovative solutions, and mobilize resources to ensure that every child in West Africa has access to quality education. And these aligns with the United Nations SDG Goal 4, which aims to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. I would like to extend my deepest gratitude to our esteemed keynote speakers, panelists, and participants who have traveled far and wide to join us today. Your presence is a testament to our commitment to this critical cause, and I'm confident that your insights and experiences will enrich the discussions and pave the way for actionable strategies and meaningful investments in education. We are also privileged to have representatives from governments, international organizations, nonprofits, academia, and the private sector to join us today. This diverse assembly underscores the importance of multi-stakeholder approach to addressing the out-of-school children challenge. Collaboration and partnerships are key to overcoming the barriers that hinder education, access, and quality. Over the next 2 days, we will delve into latest research findings, shed light on the root causes and consequences of out-of-school children in West Africa, and we will examine evidence-based interventions and best practices that demonstrate the effectiveness in our context and other contexts, and deliberate on their potential adaptation and scaling up in our region to tackle this pressing issue. Furthermore, we will emphasize the critical role of investment in education. We must advocate for increased funding and resource allocation from both domestic and international sources. Education is not just an expense, it is an investment in human capital, and the dividends it yields are immeasurable. By prioritizing education, we invest in the future leaders, innovators, and change makers in West Africa. So let's stay focused on these common objectives as we set out on this journey to guarantee that no child falls behind. Let us commit to translating our discussions into concrete actions and our insights into impactful policies. So in conclusion, I would like to welcome you all once again and thank you all for this unwavering dedication to this cause. Together we can make a difference. Together we can transform the lives of children and build a brighter and more equitable future for West Africa. Thank you so much.
Chuka, thank you so much for making this beautiful presentation. We are now going to have a group picture, which will take us less than 2 minutes. Thereafter, we proceed to have our snack or tea and return here after 20 minutes. And when we return, we will delve into presentations by the research consortium. Then, during that period, we will invite Professor Gunu Mohammed from the University for Development Studies and Dr. John Boscos from Bolgatanga Tanka University as the respondents after the presentations. I'm bringing this to just elect what we'll be doing next. So before we take the group photo, permit me to invite Professor Chia to give us his closing remarks for the first part of this session. And when we resume, we'll continue. Thank you so much.
I have assumed that the MC has done the closing remarks. So anyway, I think it's been a very great morning here. We've learned a lot. It's almost time for snack break. I wouldn't want to go over all the speeches that has happened this morning, but just to remind us that there are key take-home things we've learned here that out-of-school children is a huge challenge in West Africa and Africa, and of course, globally. Then there have been some efforts to deal with it, and particularly this consortium for the past 3 years or 4 years. We've seen the results. 25 million in Nigeria. When I looked at it and looked at Ghana population, I said that the entire country is out of school because we are just around 30 million. But the reality of the problem is we can deal with it, and in order to do this, we need partnership, collaborative efforts. We must also be willing to invest in this kind of education. As I said, I have been part of the process. Around 2015-16, USAID project, then we have DFID project, and sometimes people don't understand. We focus on the mainstream and forgot that these category of children also need to be educated, and they can bring on table a lot of some kind of ideas. In fact, in Ghana's case, the results, if they show you, some of them, I know in particular some are doctors, some are professors in school now. So it means that we need to actually invest in it. And together, we can succeed. Going forward, we want to see the research evidence, because most times they ask you, where is the evidence? Why do you waste your time on out-of-school children? Luckily, we have the evidence right here with us. On that note, I wish you all a successful snack break and to continue with the program. Thank you very much. And you have been one of the best audience I've ever had in chairing events. Very, very cooperative. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prof. Chair. Shall we now have our group photo in front of the podium? Please, let's make it very brief and quick. 2 minutes. Stand on your feet and walk towards the podium. So the short men will be in front. Yes, please come forward. Where is our photographer or photographers? Please step forward. Let's do this quick. Afterwards, we can have other things to do. So some of you can stand behind the podium. Festus, you should come down. Okay. Right, shall we organize ourselves, please? Let's make it quick. Right, yes. Who else is waiting? Yes, please come around. Please come around. Hold on, photographer. Are we set? All right. So I'm coming to join you.
the organizations operated accelerated education programs, there wasn't a nationally accepted program in the country. So in 2018, under the leadership of the Nigerian Educational Research and Development Council, a task team of education partners was formed to strengthen accelerated education. They created an implementation framework and a curriculum for ABEP.
And supply today will come for because don't die me, daddy be don't die me, and so he give me no able to take care of me. So a man give me better, I don't born, I don't come on school. Today I graduate when they put me back now school.
We want more out of school girls to go back to school because we have many of them, especially in our rural communities. So that is why we have come to celebrate with them so that others who are still out of school can come back to school.
The minister said the school don't want to open for all Pikin Ghana school because if we get for change this country, like how the president they try for change this country, now for them we begin to become educated, and when they become educated, they change the narrative. And I tell you that today, this ceremony will come for Naya. Now a big ceremony. For now we got picking already don't come on at school. For let them come back to school. Yeah. At the beguna. At the beguna, then girl picking and a beg with the beguna. When I don't come back to school, 3 years when I don't go back. The minister want for let una stay in school because the minister a heartbeat na radical inclusion for let nobody not left out.
Today I'm glad where I don't get anything there. They don't give me uniform, bag, shoes with books then. I don't become dropouts in school for good 3 years because of Agebele. So I'm glad the way they don't give me anything there. So I can't return back to school.
I say come back chiefdom. I promise for seminar. I get for can first because of what will happen to me. I don't learn my lesson. So I go for study art so that I will come first, so that I will put shame pad one day they talk about me. They don't do talk about me at this village also. Me I be don't feel now say my own life don't pass school business. But when they don't count this development here back, they don't count uniform, shoes back for me. They say for that will go school back. I just want to tell the government thank you and the Ministry of Education they thank you for what they don't do.
In Nigeria, more than 10 million In Nigeria, more than 10 million 6 to 11-year-olds are out of school. That's around 1 in every 4 children. Another 10 million adolescents ages 12 to 14 and many more youth ages 15 to 18 are unable to access formal education. And this number has been increasing rapidly in the past decade. Some young people are out of school because of conflict and displacement in the north of the country. But the problem isn't limited to that region. Throughout the country, young people in poverty may never enroll or drop out early. Girls may be pushed out of school because of early pregnancy, child marriage, or cultural and social norms that prioritize boys' education. Many children in Sangaya education also lack access to formal learning opportunities. And the number of children who are out of school in the South is growing. The Accelerated Basic Education Program, or ABEP, is an educational option for 10 to 18-year-olds who cannot participate in mainstream education and are overage for their grade. In ABEP, learners complete their basic education in 3 years or less. They can enter at the level that is most appropriate to their current skills, so they don't have to start from the beginning. If they catch up to their grade level, they can return to formal school or vocational education with their peers. And when they complete the entire cycle of ABEP, equivalent to Junior Secondary 3, they can sit the Basic Education Certificate examination and receive their certification. That is because ABEP is fully approved by the National Council on Education. In fact, let's take a walk down memory lane to see how this came to be. Nigeria has a long history of non-formal education. But it wasn't until 2014 that accelerated education emerged in response to the Boko Haram insurgency. While many organizations operated accelerated education programs, there wasn't a nationally accepted program in the country. So in 2018, under the leadership of the Nigerian Educational Research and Development Council, a task team of education partners was formed to strengthen accelerated education. They created an implementation framework and a curriculum for ABEP, which were approved in 2019. Then, with support of the Accelerated Education Working Group, a global group of partners working on accelerated education, they developed training for ABEP teachers. From 2019 to 2022, the ABEP model was tested in the northeast of the country. After the pilot, the program was officially launched by the Honorable Minister of Education in a national rollout. But there is still work to be done. Now, the task team is supporting states to run ABEP around the country. They're advocating for funding within state budgets for ABEP. They are prioritizing ABEP in education policies, plans, and even in law. And they are training more and more ABEP teachers. Making sure that ABEP becomes a national priority is critical. And integrating ABEP in policy, law, and funding is key. This will ensure that ABEP has the resources and support needed to help millions of out-of-school children and youth continue their education and growth and have better life outcomes in the future. You can support ABEP in Nigeria. Contact the Nigerian ABEP task team to learn more. If you want to support the integration of accelerated education in your context, visit the Accelerated Education Working Group's website to learn more. In Nigeria, more than 10 million 6 to 11-year-olds are out of school. That's around 1 in every 4 children. Another 10 million adolescents ages 12 to 14 and many more youth ages 15 to 18 are unable to access formal education. And this number has been increasing rapidly in the past decade. Some young people are out of school because of conflict and displacement in the north of the country. But the problem isn't limited to that region. Throughout the country, young people in poverty may never enroll or drop out early. Girls may be pushed out of school because of early pregnancy, child marriage, or cultural and social norms that prioritize boys' education. Many children in Sangaya education also lack access to formal learning opportunities. And the number of children who are out of school in the South is growing. The Accelerated Basic Education Program, or ABEP, is an educational option for 10 to 18-year-olds who cannot participate in mainstream education and are over age for their grade. In ABEP, learners complete their basic education in 3 years or less. They can enter at the level that is most appropriate to their current skills, so they don't have to start from the beginning. If they catch up to their grade level, they can return to formal school or vocational education with their peers. And when they complete the entire cycle of ABEP, equivalent to Junior Secondary 3, they can sit the Basic Education Certificate examination and receive their certification. That is because ABEP is fully approved by the National Council on Education. In fact, let's take a walk down memory lane to see how this came to be. Nigeria has a long history of non-formal education. But it wasn't until 2014 that accelerated education emerged in response to the Boko Haram insurgency. While many organizations operated accelerated education programs, there wasn't a nationally accepted program in the country. So in 2018, under the leadership of the Nigerian Educational Research and Development Council, a task team of education partners was formed to strengthen accelerated education. They created an implementation framework and a curriculum for ABEP, which were approved in 2019. Then, with support of the Accelerated Education Working Group, a global group of partners working on accelerated education, they developed training for ABEP teachers. From 2019 to 2022, the ABEP model was tested in the northeast of the country. After the pilot, the program was officially launched by the Honorable Minister of Education in a national rollout. But there is still work to be done. Now, the task team is supporting states to run ABEP around the country. They're advocating for funding within state budgets for ABEP. They are prioritizing ABEP in education policies, plans, and even in law. And they